Welcome to Baddie, a monthly podcast by For the Breast of Us, the first breast cancer community for all women of color, where we share real-life experiences, information, and education to help you live your best life after a breast cancer diagnosis.
Hey, everybody. It's your girl, Miss Eboney, a.k.a. Miss Hustle and Heels. And I would like to welcome you to a new episode of Love and Cancer, a series brought to us by For the Breast of Us, which is a wonderful, might I say, breast cancer community for women of color. And we definitely need that, where we discuss the relationship between breast cancer advocates, thrivers, survivors, and their support team, or better known as their friends, their loved ones. And today we have another wonderful and beautiful guest with us. She goes by the name of Darlene, and I am going to welcome her in, and I want you all to welcome her also. Hello, Darlene. How are you today?
I'm good. And yourself?
I am doing great. Thank you for coming on today and being willing to speak to us about this topic.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So this is not a club that we want to be a part of.
Of course.
But here we are, and we're surviving and thriving through it. So, Darlene, how did you find out that you had breast cancer?
Well, I had felt like a knot on my right breast, but I was like, well, maybe it's not, maybe I'm like, maybe it's something, but it's just going to go away. But it never was. It was like a couple of months. So I reached out to my primary care doctor and I said, I have a knot and it's aching, like it's really kind of painful. So she set up for me to have a mammogram. And I would like tell mom, I said, Mom said, feel it. She's like, no, I want to feel like, feel it. It's like something's still weird. So I went in, I had thyroid. So I had a thyroid doctor appointment the same day I had my mammogram. So I was talking to my doctor. I said, you have to go get a mammogram. I feel like I have a knot, but it hurts. She's like, oh, if it hurts, you're good. That's enough. It's going to be benign. Everyone kept saying benign. So I went and got a mammogram. Even the mammogram tech was like, does it hurt? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, well, that means you're going to be good. That means nothing. If it didn't hurt, then I'd be worried. So I'm like, okay. So they did a mammogram. Then they did a sonogram. And I can see the sonogram tech kind of like, okay, let me go get the gentleman to read to the doctor. So he comes in. And they're like, okay, we want you to go get a biopsy. So I'm telling everyone, they're like, oh, it's going to be benign. My sister went through that. My mom went through that. They said, everybody went through it and you're going to be fine. There's nothing to worry about. So when I went to go get the biopsy, my tech, when she went to do it, she said, oh, this is definitely breast cancer. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I sent my doctor a message and I say, the tech told me today that it's breast cancer. She said, no, she can't say that. Don't listen. That's not true. So I think a day went past, no more than 2. I think the next day, to be honest, my doctor sent me a message and was like, I'm so sorry. It is. She called me. She said, I'm so sorry. It is breast cancer. So she said, I want you to reach out to this surgeon and things like that. So when she told me, I was like I felt like I was in a dream. Like, okay. And it was crazy. 6 months prior to me finding out, my niece, which at the age was 28, she had found out she had breast cancer. So I was being there for her and cooking and doing things for her, not knowing that this would come and hit me 6 months later. So,
oh wow, so it's like a double whammy for the family.
She was going through the chemo at the time. She had just about to have a double mastectomy, and when I didn't really want to tell her because I didn't want to stress her out because I know she was going through her stuff. So when I tell her, she was like, "No," I said, "I don't want you to do this." Oh my God, the chemo! I'm like, "Well, I have no choice." You know how I have to do it. I have to. She's like, "I just don't wish this on my worst enemy." So her cancer was like estrogen based. Mine is triple negative. So, it's more aggressive and you don't know where it comes from. So when I went to the surgeon, they did all my tests and the blood work and everything. That's what came back saying that it was stage 2A.
Mhm.
And they were like recording, you know, good. You can have surgery. So I had chemo first, the AC and tax. I did that. Then I had surgery a month after chemo was over with. I had reconstruction, mastectomy, and then I did 30 rounds of radiation. Then I did Keytruda. Then I did the Xeloda pill, and because I got diagnosed June 29th, 2021. So I did
Mm.
chemo first. I finished chemo November the 1st, had surgery December 1st. Then I did radiation. Then I did Keytruda, and then I did the pills, Xeloda. So I finished everything in around July. Was done with everything. Still going to like I said, my numbers look good. Everything looked good. So I was thinking about having surgery where they take the fat and stuff from your stomach and make, because I have the
Mhm.
implant right now.
The
So
deep flap.
yes, the deep left. So I went and had talked to the doctor. They had me do a CT and everything. Talked to my oncologist, and they were like, everything looks good. The surgeon's like, you're cancer free. Everything just looks wonderful. So I'm
Mhm.
excited, like, okay, woo. So I'm having like a pain around the end of October. And I went to see my primary care doctor. She's like, well, maybe you pulled something. She gave me like a Z pack and everything. So around November, like the 9th, I had like this really bad pain in my side, like I couldn't take it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
my side's hurting. So I was taking like some strong medicine that I've had. And I'm like, something don't feel right. Something don't feel right. So I went to
Mhm.
bed first on that Sunday, and they were like, we think it's your appendicitis or something like that. Like, go to the emergency room. Like, they were closing, about to grade close. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna go home and lay down for a little while. She's like, it's gonna be like a 10-hour wait and go get your
Ooh.
and this. So I'm like, I'm gonna get up and drive to the hospital where I go. My doctor's, I'm gonna go to Annapolis. So I got up like about 5 because I was in pain. Went there, and they did a sonogram of my appendicitis to see what's going on my side. And the ER nurse said it's cancer in your liver. And I said, what? So I'm by myself. So I'm like freaking out. I'm crying. I'm calling my mom. Like, oh my God. It's like, I'm just like freaking out. Like, oh my gosh.
Mhm.
So it's Monday morning. So I called my oncologist, and she's like, I called the office. Like, they said I have, like, I need you to call me back. They said I have cancer in my liver. So she calls back, and she's like, I'm so sorry. I need you coming to the office, you know. So I went, I'm like, I'm going home because it was like kind of like in the evening. So I went to Tuesday morning with my mom and my daughter. So she's like, okay, she looked at the sonogram, so she said, I'm gonna order a PET scan for you. So they, got me like a PET scan like the next day. And so I called the office, like, okay, my results are there. So they're like, we haven't gotten them yet. So I'm like, well, my results are there. So I looked at them. So I
Mhm.
said, oh my gosh, I said, Mom, this stuff is everywhere. It's in my lungs, it's in my liver, it's in my lymph nodes, and I'm like, it's everywhere. So it's like after I seen the PET scan, my doctor's like, I wish you would have seen that. It's like I was already in pain, but it's like it just like went 10 times. Like I lost like 15, 17 pounds. Like the pain just went everywhere. I couldn't walk. Like I thought I was going to die. Like I was sleeping in bed with my mom. Like they had to do everything. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't do anything. This is in December. Like I asked my doctor to put me in induced coma. I'm like, I'm in so much pain. I've never felt pain like this. So she's like, okay, we got your biopsy and everything, back your liver biopsy. It's, we're going to start you on Tradova. So they started my treatments like December the 29th. And like a month later, like because I couldn't breathe. Like
Mhm.
it was really bad. So I started my
Mhm.
treatments, and then it's like I just started like feeling so much better. Like I started to feel like myself again. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I can clean my room. Now I can wash. Now I can go back to cooking.
Mhm.
I'll in the backyard, just walk around like a little bit of breaths and come back in, and then I could shave. I went to church, had my church pray on me, and the women of the church prayed all over me. My pastor first lady was calling me, and they was praying, and I just seen myself just like, wow, like I'm feeling so much better now. Now I can cook. Then like my girlfriends, some that are online, well, all of them online, plus my daughter and another cousin and girlfriend. So because everybody's bringing me meals. I was like, they are showing up. Like anything I needed, they're there. They were there the first time for me. We did like a photo shoot and everything. And this time they were really like, but I seen fear in a couple of their eyes. Like,
Mhm.
oh, the first time you went to you ain't look sick. You was going. Now you can't even, like, I would take 2 steps and I was out of breath. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I can't breathe. They're like, you might need a breathing machine. This is like, I even went to a holistic doctor, and I thought she was doctor. She told me these duck egg stuff, which I thought they supposed to be some kind of stem cells to help the stem grow back. Like she took advantage of us with me and my kids and us. Like you spend like $1,500 in this health school.
Yeah.
And my mother had grabbed the stuff, showed my doctor. My doctor said she can't have this. My mother called. They said you gonna give her a refund. She got me like $800 some of money back, which was better than nothing because we had spent like 15. She said you took advantage of my daughter and her 2 grown kids because you said all the right words because she had them feared. Like we were scared. Like like my son came from out of town, like just let me him and my daughter slept in the bed with me because I thought I was knocking on death door, but God, he
kept you.
When I say he gave me a testimony to preach in church, they had to kind of curb me in the church. I had people east side like curb me in the church. I said I need to get to church. I need them to pray on me. I need them to I need to pass with the oil. Like I need to cried out to God. And when I said my spirit just built up, and I was just like, "You real? This God. I know this can't be the Bible God because it's been my testimony and me getting involved. I'm like, I need to get involved with some groups. Like I've been reaching every group there is and talking to people. Like I would like to just really be involved with reaching out to other because when I would do groups and stuff, I was the only one look like myself. Or one older person, but most likely it was me. And I'm just like, okay, let's find some black groups. Let me go on Instagram and like anything I see something I would link on to next link and look at the comments and click and say, it's a lot of stuff involved out here. I need to get involved in these groups, people. And every Zoom, I go on the Zoom meetings and I'm learn stuff I can hear about. I'm learning, talking to different women and knowing certain things. Are like, okay, I need a genetic test, but no, I need a genomics test done. Got the genomics. I need all my results. I need everything because I'm talking to people. I'm learning so much stuff. And my doctor be like, okay, you ain't playing around, are you? I'm like, no, I'm not. Because I have to advocate for myself. I speak up for myself. And she said, yes, I see. I said, because we go quicker. And I see everybody like on triple negative women. I would see all the people who survived this many. I'm like, I don't see no people of color. I'm like, Mom, I see all these stories and I hear all these success stories, but I don't see none of us on these stories. So I have to back with my people and figure out why we're not and how can we be. Because I have a daughter and there's so many young, my niece going through that. And then after I was diagnosed, I had a coworker who was diagnosed 6 months after me, triple negative breast cancer, same as mine. But she had the BRCA1 gene. So it's out here. The environment is just crazy right now. You don't know. So it's like you don't know what to do because people are like, you can't eat this, don't do this. And some people say you can't do this. And it was just like all this advice and people who've never been anything, but everybody got all the advice on what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And I'm just like, until you get
accept the right thing.
If you accept the right thing to your body and you can't the metal taste and this and the rest, I know you love me, I know you care, I know you're concerned, but just say, what do you need me to do? I'm here for you.
Right. Well, let's bring on those people that was there for you.
Yes.
All right. We have them all. Let me bring them all, these beautiful faces in here. Y'all come on in this room. Hello, beautiful ladies. How are you guys?
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
I just love seeing all y'all on here. Yes. All right. So how do all of you beautiful people know Miss Darlene?
Mom, you want to start first?
Okay, I'm her mom. I birthed her, so I know her.
You've known her the longest.
Yes, I knew her way before anybody else.
I met her some 20 years ago, and she was my downstairs neighbor.
Nice.
So we've been ever since.
Okay.
You want to go next, Angela, or you want me to go?
Oh, I can go. I met Darlene at work. She was a coworker. She is a friend, a really good friend, close friend. of mine now. But I've known her for about 8 years now.
And I've known Darlene since we were 13. Yeah, 13 years old, middle school. So,
Nice,
long time.
nice. So how did this diagnosis, when she told you all, how did it affect you all? Well, like, what did you all say? Like, what happened when she told you all?
For me, Darlene is the most exuberant person I know. She is the life of the party. She is nonstop on the go. I can't keep up with her. And
Very
before
talkative.
it happened, I was like, how do you keep going? Like, I couldn't understand it. I'm like, how your motor never ends. So when this happened, the breast cancer, it scared me, but she fought it so well that
Mm-hmm.
I just thought we were done.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, she kicked that cancer's butt, and that was it. But
Mm-hmm.
the second diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
I just never saw her like that before. Like, I had to
Mm-hmm.
literally put her clothes on. I had to carry her down the steps. I had to put her in the car. And to see my friend who motor never stops, like she is always so bubbly, and to see her in that pain, like it broke my heart. So when
Mm-hmm.
she talks about fear, seeing it in
Mm-hmm.
her eyes, that's me. I was scared to death because I just never thought I would see her because I saw her with the breast cancer. And
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
even though it was bad, I've never seen her like that with the second diagnosis. So it
Right.
was terrifying for me.
For me, I was I was so scared. I was terrified. I'm not a crier, but I just cried every time I saw her, talk to her, or just to hear anything about what was going on. It was just like I see Darlene every day at work when we were at work. I talked to her on the phone. We spent a lot of time together when she for her first diagnosis. So I just thought,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's good. Like she handled it so well.
Mhm.
Like you would have never known that she had breast cancer. So in my mind, she didn't. We just went on with life like it wasn't nothing. But the second go around, oh, it hurt me to my heart. Like I just couldn't move. I just couldn't believe it. Like Ayana said, she couldn't walk. She couldn't talk. And now that was something that hurt her the most was her voice. Darlene talked, and she talks very, very loud wherever she is. So to have her be whispering, it was something that hurt
Yeah,
her the most. Like that affected her. Her voice was gone, so she knew it was real at that point. But I was
Yes.
just like, oh my God, it's just like I can't. I hate seeing her this way. She was
Mm-hmm.
just like not her usual self. She wasn't bubbly. She didn't want to talk. She didn't want to be around anyone. And Darlene, like everyone said, she is the life of the party. When she walks in the room, everyone knows she's there. And it was just so sad to see the transformation from like I guess like the day before she actually got diagnosed, we were hanging out and I just looked over at her and I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she's
Mm-hmm.
like, I just don't feel good. And I was like, yeah, because you seem a little cranky, you're not talking. And then it's just like the next time I talked to her, it just went downhill instantly, like within days. And I was like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, am I about to lose my friend? I can't take this. I don't want to. This is like, I couldn't handle it. So,
Mm-hmm.
but she has a huge support team, and we are
Mm-hmm.
all here for her and will do anything for her.
yes.
Amen.
Well, I have to agree with Angela and Ayana. First of all, she loves to talk, and she talks fast. She's always been a talker. So her not being able to talk, getting short of breath when she talked was a lot. I think for me, we've been through a lot together, but I think the first time, like everyone said, I was like, okay, she has breast cancer. We're gonna go through the chemo, go through the treatments, and everything is gonna be fine. And I was sitting at work, and she had text me, but it was in caps. She was like,
Mm-hmm.
call me. And my heart was just sunk. I was like, okay, she know I'm at work. So if she say call her, something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like so upset. She was telling me that, they said it's in her liver. And I was like, slow down. I was like, take your time. Tell me what's going on. So she told me the whole story and everything. I said, okay. So just like her mom said, let's wait and see what the oncologists say and go from there. And then I think after the results came back, she sent me the results and was like, I don't know what some of this means. I see what it says, but I don't know what it means. So I looked at it, and I don't even think I told you this story, Pooh. So I looked at it, and I was like, I lost it. Because one, I'm in the medical field. So some of the things that was in there, I knew exactly what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay. And then something just came over me. God was like, you know what? Pull yourself together. You have to be there for her. Then I think I texted you back at that point or whatever. And it was just so, I mean, when I say, as soon as I read it, I was like, Lord, just protect her, shield her. And then when we went through the whole thing about the treatment and everything, as far as her losing her voice, not being able to walk, the pain, and asking, she asked my advice on several things. And I just wanted to make sure everything she did was her choice. Like
Right.
you spoke
Right.
earlier, it's nice to give advice, but I didn't want to be that person who make a decision for her, and then it's something that she didn't want to do. So I just kept saying, she was like, what should I do? I was like, I'm going to be with you, whatever you decide, but I'm not going to decide for
Right.
you.
You said, I'm not time for you. I'm not time for you.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm like, but
And
no.
then exactly. And then when she got the results back this time, when I tell you guys, and I told you this part, I said a radiologist normally do not give this type of positive advice. And usually they'll give you the information. But when he was like, a remarkable difference, when I tell you guys, I think, oh my gosh, other than the day my kids were born and me getting married, I was so happy. Y'all just don't understand. I'm like, it feels down just explaining it. But like Angela said, she got a great support system. Her mom and daughter has been there for her. Everyone's been there for her. And we're just going to keep on praying, keep on fighting.
Yes. Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Mom, what about you? How did you find out, and what was your thought?
She kept complaining about her side hurting and things. And I was like, we'll go to the doctor and see what it is. So after she came, she told me she was crying. She was very emotional at the hospital. She was like, you need to get up here right now.
No,
I need you
first
right
time
now.
that you wouldn't touch.
Huh?
The first time when you wouldn't touch my neck. Remember?
Well, I already tested that. But anyway, when she found out it was cancer, she just broke down because she felt like the doctor didn't have no good bedside manners. Just told her it's cancer and walked out and never came back. So it was like very traumatic for her at that time. And and her daughter was here at the house, and she was like, I need y'all to get up here right away. So once I told her daughter, we start, getting ready to go and everything, and we was on our way. She called and said, don't come. I'm okay now. I'll be there. So she got here and we discussed it. But the whole time I just fell on my face. And I said, the devil's a liar.
There you go.
Because, he's not going to do this to me and my daughter. I said, no, he can't have her. I was like, the devil's a liar. So I had to be strong and be encouraging to her to keep her mindset, in a positive, as much as positive as I could. But I know she was dealing with a lot of the darkness of it because she would sleep with me. She didn't want to be alone. And then a lot of times when she was alone, she was telling me that, she was having these bad feelings and things. And I had to keep constantly encouraging her that, God gonna get you through this, because I just had to hold on to the faith and get her to hold on to it. So it hurted me to my heart to see her when she first started having the effects of it. When me and her was walking in the grocery store one day, we left her doctor. She went to the ear and throat doctor, nose, ear and throat doctor.
And
And we Yo, the thyroid doctor. And we was walking around the grocery store, and she really was overdoing it. And by the time we got back to near my home, she couldn't even barely breathe. And that kind of scared me because we was in the car and she was just like, I can't, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. So I'm panicking because I'm like, oh my God, what, I got to get her to the house, So I told her, open the window, calm down, stick your head out the window, get some air, calm down, bring it, breathe in and out and stuff. So I had to carry her in the house because she couldn't even barely walk. And I had to help her in the house and stuff. But overall, when we was in her doctor's office and I told the doctor, me and her daughter was encouraging her because she was in there really upset. And I told her, I said, well, God, the devil can't have my mini me. That's my mini me. That's my only daughter, And I'm like, no, he can't have you. I was like, I need you around, So as time went on, once we went to that church, and the whole church prayed over her. And her friends, family, everybody was there. It's like God, answered the prayer. And that's when she started healing, And I told her, I said, put your faith in God. No, nobody else. He gonna take care of this. And God don't lie. And he took care of me because now when she went back to get her results, she couldn't believe it herself. Because the first time she was being nosy. And I told her, don't read that information. She wanted to be nosy as usual. Can't wait, And then she come there, oh my God, now they're saying this in my kidneys, it's here, it's there, da, 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 da. And I say, why didn't you let your doctor, address you with this? But when we got the second results, everything was so miraculously wonderful. And it was like, I told you, God is good all the time. So
yes, he is.
she's in much better spirits. She's gaining everything back. The voice thing, I was wondering if it could last a little longer. Because now she got that voice. I'm like,
that's just so she can go around.
that would be good if it
God gave her her voice back, so she can people
like
need to
she's
hear her
whole
story.
again. Yeah, it's like she's whole again. Yeah. Thank
So
you,
how much
Jesus.
did you all know about? Because we hear breast cancer. I know before I was diagnosed, I knew about breast cancer. Like breast cancer, you hear the term breast cancer, but
Yes.
like the different stages and all of that, like I knew none of that. How much did you all know prior to Darlene's diagnosis?
My mother had breast cancer and it was hereditary. And it's like, I used to go to doctors when I was in my teens with her constantly, all the time. But I never educated myself because I never was one, because cancer ran in my family a lot. My father died from lung cancer. I had a fiance, he died 2 years ago of oral cancer. So even though I knew a lot of people that had, I never took the time to really learn about it. But since my daughter had it, she makes me aware a lot about the different terms and what it, consists of, by her doing the research now because of her status. So I'm a little more familiar than I was in the past.
Okay. Any of you?
Oh, I'm almost a doctor. Okay. No, everything. Okay. I am almost a doctor. Okay. So she found out about the breast cancer, like, was it, Darlene? It was like one day before your birthday. It was like maybe one day before her birthday when she found out about that breast cancer. So when she told me everything, I didn't know it. And you hear pink ribbon, breast cancer, wear the pink cleats during October. Like that's all I knew. But after she got diagnosed, like it was the people that she was talking to learn more about it, I was talking to them as well. Like whoever she found something new, she would send it to me, and then I would read up on it. Like we just had to really educate ourselves really quickly with it.
And that's good.
And
That's
and
good.
for me, so I knew about breast cancer, but I think like I didn't know how many Black or people of color had triple negative. So that part was a bigger research for me.
Yeah.
And then I remember just telling Darlene to research. You got to be your biggest advocate. You got to know these numbers, or she'd send me something, and I'm like, "Well, what's your blood level?" And she's like, "I don't know." I was like, "If you don't get on there right now, research this, we are going to fight." And I said, I was like, "Make sure it's some type of medical journal. Don't just go with the first thing you see because somebody has an opinion." But I learned a lot as far as the triple negative that I did not know, even being in the medical field. I did not know.
And I didn't know too much about breast cancer besides what pretty much everyone else knew. Breast cancer, stage 4 is the worst one. And I guess when you hear stage 4, you think it's the end of the world. But as we see, it's not. So I didn't know anything until she kind of would tell me things. I was really interested in knowing the different types of drugs she was taking, the different types of chemo she was given, just everything about it. I just wanted to know more just so I would could understand it better for her and myself.
And this is one thing I wanted to add is that when they told her she had cancer in the different parts of her body, and it just surprised me that it was still considered breast cancer.
Yes. Yes.
And that was like kind of shocking because I thought breast cancer just was in the breast area. I didn't know when it spread, even though it was originally diagnosed as breast cancer, and it spread it to her liver and other parts and her bones and stuff, they still diagnosed it as breast cancer.
Yeah. When I was initially diagnosed, that I was already at stage 4. I found out December 2018, and mine had spread to bone, part of my bones, my lungs, part of my spine, and the breast too. So like when I started telling people, they were just like, "Well, what kind of cancer is it?" I was like, "Well, look, let me educate myself first, and then let me go in, and then let me tell you."
Yeah, because I think Darlene originally thought it was a different type of cancer. Because when she said something, and the doctor was like, "No, it's still breast cancer." And
I thought it was liver because they was on the liver.
yeah, she said it's in my liver. I got liver cancer. She was like, "No, it's still breast cancer."
That's where it started from. She said it just leaked, the cell leaked somewhere else.
Okay, what did you all learn about yourself and your friend, and for you, Miss Darlene, your daughter? What did you all learn about yourself and her during this time?
And she's a fighter. She's a strong Black woman because I don't know if I could have handled it, would have been able to handle it like she has, because to find out after you went through the first phase and you thought you were done, and 6 months later you find out it's back and it's worse than it was before. I guess I would have to really say I learned that my faith is stronger in God through her by miraculous work on her.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that as well. I think yes, she's extremely like strong, she's was determined. She put her mind to it and said, "You know what? This is what it is. This is how I'm gonna deal with it, and we're gonna move on." And I think too, I've learned that because I'm a person that I do like to try to control things. And this is something I could not control. So I had to like really put my faith in God and say, I know you are all things, and right now, he know me because he created me. But I was like, I know I can't control it, even though I want to, and I really, really, really had to let go and believe. I mean, I really had to let go and believe, even though the devil was like, nope, I'm on this shoulder, I'm on that shoulder. I was like, nope, it's not gonna work. But I think I agree that I really had to put my faith in God and let Him handle this one.
Yes.
I think I knew that I loved her. I knew she was like, she meant the world to me. But when this happened, I was like, oh no. I'm like, because then I was like, she mean more to me than I thought she did. Like the thought of her not being here, like I can't fathom a world where she, not in it with me. So I was like, we gonna carry this load together. And I can't, pain is something that you can't explain. Like you can't, I know what she's going through, but I don't know what she's going through. I don't know what she's feeling, but I wanted to be her whipping board. Like, you don't gotta say you okay with me. You don't gotta pretend with me. You can be crying. You can be whatever you want to be in my presence. Like, you don't gotta pretend. You don't gotta act like you feel good. Like, I figured out that she is one of the strongest women I know, and I be thinking, I'm so strong, something, but I ain't been through none of the stuff that she has been through. So I figure she is the strongest woman I know.
I would agree to that too. I think she's very strong. She's brave to be going through this 2 times. And I will always tell her, you are strong, you are a fighter. You are here to advocate for us Black women. You are here to help someone else through this journey. Just as like she said, we had a coworker who was just diagnosed a few months after her, and she was instantly ready to give up. If Darlene never talked to her and helped her through this and kind of educated her along the way, who knows what would have happened. And I told her, this is your second battle, but you're going to be here to help someone else and give your testimony as to what you went through, just to let them know that, like, you overcome so much. And as far as us and our friendship relationship, I knew we were close. We did a lot together. We were always with each other. But it just hit me a little different. I was like, oh my gosh, this is my sister. I cannot lose her. Like, I just don't know what I would do. And I would just cry and cry and cry. From the first time she told me this to the second time around, I was like, this can't be happening. I mean, it just hurt so bad, as if she was like my true, honest sister. And I just can't lose her and don't want to ever lose her.
Yeah. And so, as a support team, is a question that I always like to ask. As a support team, all the attention is on the person that's going through it, right? But where do you all draw your strength and your support from? Because, like, the lens, like I said, the lens is always on the person who's been diagnosed. But when we broaden the lens, those people who are there holding up the person, being the encourager, being the support, sometimes you all don't get the recognition that you so often deserve. So where did you all draw your strength and support from while being a support to Darlene?
Mine's from God, Jesus.
I would have to say my husband, even though I give him a hard time, and we're not gonna tell him I'm saying this. But he is really like he's always been my support. But through this, when I tell you, like, I can just walk through the door and he's like, you just got off the phone? And we call her nickname Pooh. I was like, yeah, how you know? He was like, I could just feel your energy. So, but he always been there for me throughout this. So I would have to say hubby.
I would say my support system is my cousins. One of my cousins in particular, she went through this a few years ago with one of her best friends. So she knew how to jump in right away, how to be there for me, how to console me, how to tell me like whatever it was, whatever I needed to hear. Because we were there for her and in her time, so she jumped right in. It was never a question about anything. She was there. She would, if I would talk to her, she was like, "I'm on my way." She'll be knocking on my door, like, "I'm here with you. I'll stay with you. Whatever you need, I'm here." And I was telling Darlene, like, we never think like I'm your support system, but I do need a support system too, because I don't know how to handle this. I don't know what to do. My emotions are all over the place. But like I said, my girlfriend Nicole, she was there for me because, like I said, and her friend, she lost her battle, but she had breast cancer twice. It came back very, very aggressive. So she lost her battle in 2019. But she was there for me through this whole thing, the whole process.
I had my mother. My mother loved Darlene. And she was,
that's my girl,
my backbone. Like, she was like, "It's gonna be okay, and it's gonna be okay." And my significant other, he was there for me. When Darlene told me about her second diagnosis, my thoughts they weren't good. They were not good thoughts. They were real bad. And he pulled me out of that. You can't be thinking like that, Ayana. Like, I was like, "I can't lose her." He was like, "You ain't gonna lose her." And I was like, okay, right. Yeah, who's that? But my thoughts were just really bad. They were bad in the beginning.
Yeah, because look how I was.
Human emotions.
Yeah, it was bad.
All right, guys. Okay, so you are I love your dynamic. I love you guys' energy so much. Excuse me. If you could finish this sentence for me, what would it be? Love is
never having to say you're sorry.
Everlasting.
Patient.
Peaceful.
And Darlene?
Love is, for me, I wasn't gonna say patient, but I'm saying it's just, didn't anybody say peace?
Yes.
No, I just feel like it's just it's a lot of things. Oh, gosh. Love is forgiveness, because you can forgive somebody that you love. It's like forgiveness.
And honestly, what I see here, love is support.
Yeah.
Because you guys, I mean, you've carried her, you've helped her like in all aspects, from being there physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And that means a lot. That means a lot. And I'm glad, just being for the rest of us, when I found this group, it was something I needed and I didn't know that I needed. Because I finally got to see people who looked like me and was my age and going through it, you know. But then I got to see what, like support. Because as I've battled, the only people I've really had were my children, because my family lives back in Kentucky. But God has brought people into my life. Like one of my good friends, Tamia, she knew me all of like a year, and she kicked right into auto drive, like going to chemo appointments with me and taking me to the doctor and giving shots and doing the whole nine. And so I'm so glad that for the rest of us did this, because we are allowed to show the community, our community, what love and support really looks like. Social media, say it's giving somebody a purse. I love my good handbags from here and there, but or a nice pair of shoes. But support really is what you all exemplify and what you've done for Darlene. And I think that kind of support overshadows and is actually taken for granted. And our community really needs to see this kind of love and support when somebody's going through something as as harsh, really harsh as cancer. Because some people, in the beginning, everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna be there, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then they treat it like it's the common cold and you're gonna be over it in 2 weeks. And that's not the case. And then everybody bow out gracefully. And then it's those who are willing, and my kids tell me, 10 toes down. And they stay there and they ride it out with you. Yes. And so this is beautiful, beautiful to see. And on behalf of For the Breast of Us, on the behalf of a breast cancer thriver such as myself, I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for not only telling your story, but just being there.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes. That was a blast. That was wonderful.
Yes.
I enjoyed it.
And I want to thank all of you guys who are tuned in and watching this. I know you all are going to be blessed just as I have been by just listening to their testimony and listening to Darlene, because if I don't know anything by the end of this, I know she is a fighter. She's going to be kicking cancer's butt again. And she going to be out here just handing out whoopings.
Amen to that.
God had to rest her voice so that she can scream a little louder.
Oh Lord, don't. Let's give it a little time.
so that she can help some more people. So Darlene, just know that you are a blessing, because my great grandmother used to always say, you never fight a battle by yourself, and God doesn't put anything on you that what you go through is also a testimony for somebody else. So the shoes that you are walking in and the path that you are walking in is giving somebody else strength, even if they don't tell you. So even in your darkest moments, know that you are a ray of sunshine to someone else.
Amen.
So, guys, I want to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you on behalf of For the Breast of Us and myself, Miss Eboney, a.k.a. Miss Hustle and Heels.
That is the cutest name for the breast.
Baddie Hustle. I love you guys. And until next time, we will see you guys. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.